for 100 banks, building societies and betting shops in North and West London. Highly professional, they always wore balaclavas to hide their faces. Time after time, the gang escaped with large amounts of cash, totalling over £500,000. To catch them, Scotland Yard's flying squad, who investigate armed robberies in London, mounted one of their biggest and most dramatic operations in recent years.
The robbers involved in the offences can be permed really from any 2 or 3.
By the spring of 1992, police were determined to end the outbreak of robberies. Week after week, large teams of police assembled to be briefed by Detective Inspector Bob Berger of the Flying Squad. The operation was codenamed Crozon.
Or one of the robbers puts the bag over his shoulder and under his arm, and it's either to the back so it can slip round to the front and he can take his firearm out of there.
Unusually, the Flying Squad had no inside informant, and the only leads were videos and photographs from security cameras. Slowly, Berger and his team built up a picture of the robbers.
This is the first time, this is offence 21, before we even have one photograph in a Ladbrokes betting office. He's departing with a pattern jumper and a Benetton bag. We look then at Operation Crozon, offence 31. There appears the Benetton bag again. If you go back 4 offences, you will see the Benetton bag in Cricklewood Broadway being carried by one of the 2 robbers. If I take you right over to this operation, or these offences, we have 3 linked together here. On his left-hand chest is a motive, and it's the Arsenal Football Club gunner's motive. Now, that appears on all 3 of those robberies, and that's how we link them in. I keep harking on about the bags, but the bags are the important feature because you're on busy high streets today, and the only way you're going to start to pick these people out is by suspicious behaviour or by the bags that they're carrying. Our intention today, the operation today, is to identify these men and apprehend them prior to attack on the premises that we're watching. I cannot afford, under any circumstances, to allow these men into the premises. From the photographs themselves, you'll be able to see the way that they treat the hostages inside the banking premises. May I also say to you that we know of 3 occasions where pure frustration has resulted in them letting firearms off, and they are genuine loaded firearms. Please, no heroes. Because if they've done a robbery, I promise you they're hyped up and they will pull and they will shoot. So please, no heroes.
Berger's plan was to ambush the gang during a robbery. Over 100 officers from the Flying Squad, the Force Firearms Unit, SO19, the Territorial Support Group and local crime squads were hidden in OPs, or observation positions. They were watching 10 banks which Berger believed were the most likely to be raided next.
They're very calm if they are robbers.
OP1 in Harrow covered 2 banks. OP3 was watching Lloyd's Bank in Bayswater.
Yeah, Mitch, are you receiving me over?
Go ahead, over.
OP5 was opposite the Royal Bank of Scotland in Ealing Broadway.
We're all operating on Channel 7. Should a robbery come out on Channel 7, I will come up and ask for Central 50.
Detective Inspector Berger controlled the operation from a central position in the car park of Kingsbury Police Headquarters.
What's the problem with the key on that one, then?
Photographs from bank surveillance cameras had shown that one of the robbers had a ponytail.
Got a male with a ponytail into our venue.
But this man with the ponytail entering the bank was not a suspect, and once more the robbers failed to appear.
Yeah, he's out on foot.
Yeah, Dick, it's Bob here. Are you all quiet your end? If you can stand your 2 units down, all right, and liaise and make sure the OPs are out and there's no great complications.
Stand down, received. Nurse, Queenie?
Yeah.
Yeah, stand on received.
A week later, once again 100 officers assembled for Burge's briefing. He had two problems. He had to persuade senior officers to allow him to continue an increasingly expensive operation. He also had to maintain the morale and enthusiasm of his team.
It's exactly a week ago from the last robbery, and if you can have a gut feeling about something, then I would go for today. They do like Fridays, for whatever reason it is.
Again, the police watched and waited. While the police watched 10 banks in North London, the Crowson team raided the Royal Bank of Scotland in Bayswater, well to the south.
Yeah, Gus, Bob Berger, we're just hearing this one coming out. It could be a Crowson.
Black hair and a ponytail style.
Yeah, it's a Crowson. It's bloody ponytail, isn't it, Gus?
Made of an orange or red.
I'll ring you back.
Registration motor car.
We can't understand how they can actually rob a bank, run away from the premises, get into getaway cars and so forth, and yet only 1 or 2 people see them. We've got a French tourist who's giving us information that contradicts a woman who saw the actual robbery. And they're the only 2 people at the moment outside the bank who saw anything.
I think there's some £3,000 to £4,000 has gone. And I've got a video here of the incident, which I'm taking back to the officer in charge of our inquiry.
It's one of those dual cameras again, isn't it? That's the
They are, they're in. The bag's right. It's over the shoulder. The balaclavas are right.
The gun looks good.
The gun's the same.
I don't think you need to worry about the chunkiness so much because he'll have another coat underneath that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
he's
you
got
look at
double
him,
bubble
if you look at
clothing.
his chest, he's got something under. It could be a scanner. I can tell you they've done that before. They're not amateurs there, are they? They know exactly what they're doing.
Watch as they go out the door, the last one to go out.
Did you take the point that they often will discard an outer...
Yes.
Yeah, we
How's the
went
jacket?
through that, and we thought, when he goes out, he's got a limp.
Yeah.
Like slowly, hat off, yeah, ponytail there.
Berger and his chief inspector felt a change of tactics was needed.
We were confident.
At a meeting with a senior flying squad officer, they put forward a controversial plan.
I want to actually deploy armed officers inside the bank. That would be behind the counters. They would be able to monitor the video screens. They would be able to see if they got into the premises, what was happening in the banking hall, how many customers were being held hostage and so forth. But the most important thing is that I can't afford to have an officer watching the monitor and then these people get behind the counter and then find a police officer, because all they've got to do then is shut the door and the whole staff and the police officers and everything are then sealed within that bank and we have one massive hostage situation.
I'm comfortable at putting armed gunmen into premises. You know that. And you know my reasons, mainly because it may mean that the robbers do something they would not normally do. Once they've got the money, all they want to do is leg it and get out of there. And the other problem I don't like is that, as we've discussed before, is the possibility that one of the staff may suddenly say about police officers being here, why don't you do something?
Yeah,
and
they
of course,
have to believe that,
and then the robbers could then start shooting people, and that's the last thing we want.
The principal thing you've got to think about is the MO of this team. In 90% of the occasions that they robbed either building societies, banks or betting shops, they've gone behind the counter. So we've got to consider that they would do this on any potential occasion.
This year, I mean, I'll go recent history. The first one of this year was 17th of the 1st. They came storming in, sledgehammered the security window out and leapt in behind the counter. Now, if they did that, if they came in off the pavement into the branch with a sledgehammer and took that window out, they then hopped through the window and they've got the whole of the banking area secured. This plan here is that if we can't control them going in, we've got cameras in the premises. We can monitor, we can talk to the outside, we can say there's one gunman by the door, there's one gunman at the counter now. We can give a full commentary to the people outside.
And no way do the armed officers behind the counter
come out from behind the counter.
You see,
that's pure tactics.
Yeah, that's tactics. They stay where they are. They're there for the protection.
They're there for
protection
of themselves, the cashiers.
Yeah. Right. If we brought them out into the banking hall, it's like a shooting gallery. We couldn't have that.
Absolutely not.
We couldn't have that.
And that's a definite no-no.
No, that is a definite no-no. Now, the flying squad officers on every occasion will be inside the bank. They're going to be asked just to do one job, and this is the commander's own instructions. If they come into the branch, you are vulnerable if they start to make their way behind the counter.
Commander George Ness, head of the flying squad, had insisted that the officers inside the banks should be unarmed.
You're going to have a main set in the premises. You're going to just say, premises 1 under attack, all right? Then behave like a member of the staff. Get away from the radio equipment. And if the staff... Let's tell me, sir, you're going to be at the briefing. I do have a registered informant. Now, I'll show you the video. Right, that's our target 1. That is him walking about, checking the plot. There's our gunman again, checking the plot. His eyes about everywhere. This is the actual robbery taking place, Friday the 13th. This is a 3-minute robbery, I think, this one. And it's £30,000, more than any of us earn in a year, except for the SO19 lad. Right, that's the only view you're going to get. Ponytail man. Very important distinguishing factor, ponytail man. He's actually handed the bag over, and there goes the second, who's target 1, away with the bag, and they've committed the robbery. We have a ponytail robber on every occasion. That's what you've got to be looking out for. Now, this is the bit the SO19 boys like. There's the flying squad. We're back to Harrow again. Full credit to the Royal Bank of Scotland here. They have increased their security considerably. You can always expect to have hostages, and these two are just about to become hostages. Your second gunman is in. Right, banging on the screen. But look at that gun. There is no doubt that you're dealing with real firearms here. That is the best example you could get what you're going to be facing. Okay, he doesn't quite know what to do, so he's panicking at that stage. He wants to come forward to help, look. But can I just emphasise that if you've heard they're in the branch, please, you must not go in. These are the people, they're members of the public, that they're actually helping fill the bags up. So they're very close. Checking the door. A lot of conversation. They're quite chatty and they're very, very cocky with the customers and the staff. Here we are. This is them on the way out. I think that was a £19,000 robbery. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for them to spend £7,000 to £8,000. They got just under £8,000 2 weeks ago. They have actually declared that they will go back to plot number 1, which is Bayswater, because they had an attempt there 3 weeks ago. As they left after the attempt, they gave those words, "We'll be back." And I believe they will be back.
Week after week, surveillance continued. Detectives were now looking for stolen Vauxhall Astras, which the Crozon team invariably used as getaway vehicles.
Central 797, 797, 752.
Yes, Central 797,
Berger was now controlling the operation from his car parked in a street in Marylebone.
Basically, we got one car, a blue Astra, was stolen last night at 11:30 from one of the known areas our main target lives on. Obviously, the blue Astra fits in with a pattern, and that's the vehicle we're more interested in. I mean, why they take blue ones, God knows. Maybe it's because police cars are the same colour.
Apparently they just stopped a suspect round the corner in the back car park. Seemed to be looking into cars, but he's being checked up and he's all right.
Dick, there's something at Ealing at the moment. They've got a real problem down there. The OP's burnt down, and they've got a couple of suspects. It may be that I'll ring you in a minute to scramble that gun car down from Harrow.
The pressure steadily mounted on Berger to produce results. A detective inspector for 3 years, at the age of 34, Crozon was the biggest operation he'd controlled.
Yeah, nothing at the moment.
Any Central 950 unit, any Central 950 unit in the Zulu Delta area.
I'm just puzzled. I can't work out why we go through a period of up to 28 days. I mean, it's 10 past 10 now. This is the sort of critical period for the next sort of 30 minutes as well, between 10:45. Honestly, believe somewhere in all the papers of all the robberies there's a clue we're actually missing.
That's Jordy.
Yes,
Berger's nickname was Vicar. There was an unexpected problem when there was a bomb scare at one of the OPs.
Businesses are being closed down and being evacuated. Over.
Yeah, rendezvous ET.
Yes, Vicar says, can you all go to Echo Tango and stand by, over?
No, that's impossible at the present time due to the circumstances, over.
Well, I'll leave it to you then, Geordie.
Yeah, in that case, go and have a McDonald's, over.
We can't even get that far. We're just behind the backs, over.
When you sit for promotion, they fire a whole lot of problems at you on a bit of paper, and they say, on day, date, time, place, you're a duty officer or you're a detective inspector when the following happens. But they don't actually add that the observation point burns down, that they try and bomb the bank that you're in.
None of the radios work.
None of the radios work, and Prince Harry happens to go to school by the Royal Bank of Scotland.
A week later, the flying squad missed another Crozon robbery. It became obvious that the squad had to rethink its tactics. Scotland Yard was increasingly concerned at the cost of the operation, and a team meeting was called at the flying squad office in Finchley.
You went down there, you run us through, and then run us through on the photographs.
Right, about 10:40 it happened. Two went into the bank, one with a shotgun, one with a handgun again. And in fact, they threatened one of the customers, actually pointed the gun at him. They got all the customers to lie down on the floor again, demanded money, which they put into a plastic carrier bag, and ran out.
Now we've got to work out what we're going to do. And I would say that we're going to have to devise a better method of regularly street searching. I think we've got to stop the banks, or we've got to...
Got to stop the banks?
Well, covering the banks, because...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you.
We can't pick a venue. Let's see if we can pick a car.
This would mean that the flying squad would now concentrate on finding a Vauxhall Astra that had been stolen to be used as a getaway car.
What do we do when we find a vehicle? We have to get it under observation and we have to follow it and monitor it.
And that's 24 hours a day?
Yeah, 24 hours a day. We know, don't we, from certainly the job where it was seen in Wolfston Street on the day of a robbery, that it's put near to the venue. Yeah. Now, whether it's garaged before that or not, we don't know.
Well, if I draw out a map and I colour in the whole area, and any vehicle that goes in that area, those are the prime areas. That's what we go with. We've got to make sure that through all the intelligence channels that we get informed about that Astra, because that will be the start of the end of Crozon.
Every morning between 3 and 7 a.m, up to 100 police officers search northwest London and parts of Hertfordshire for stolen Vauxhall Astras.
Yeah, it's the wrong index number.
Then the flying squad got the break they needed. Pictures of the Crozon team taken by security cameras had been circulated to every police station. A sergeant from West Hendon identified one of the robbers as James Doyle, who had a record for armed robbery. Surveillance on Doyle led the flying squad to other members of the team, and on the 4th of September, 2 known associates of the team were photographed stealing a Vauxhall Astra which fitted the Crozon pattern. But there was not enough evidence to arrest the robbers. They had to be caught in the act of robbing a bank.
I've been told that I'm not allowed to have a gut feeling today because every time I've had a gut feeling it's been wrong. I don't know, it's very difficult. So many things can go wrong. All we've got to do really is just focus on the good bit, and that is that we've actually seen with our own eyes target 5 and 6 attempt to steal one Vauxhall Astra. That proved too difficult for them, so they moved a few cars down and literally very, very quickly into the car, very quickly wired the ignition, and they were away. They drove up close to where we're going now and just left the car, and it remained there until late last night and eventually moved off, and hopefully we'll have that a bit later on.
A surveillance team had followed the stolen Astra to Hayes in Middlesex. Convinced another bank raid was imminent, Berger had assembled 3 flying squad cars and 2 firearms teams in a nearby car park.
The time's about 11:17. We now have target 4 turning up and driving past the vehicle that's under observation, driving the vehicle that we know, which is a red Peugeot 309. So we now bring another player into the game. It brings more and more of the Crozon team together. Christ almighty. There's a lot of timber, isn't it? Oh no, can we get in the car? Get in the car, get in the car.
At this point, a red Peugeot with 3 of the Crozon team inside drove into the car park.
Jesus. No, don't put it down, please. Eyeball permission.
Go.
Yeah, contact with target 4 straight into where we're plotted up.
That's the kind of luck we need.
It's the kind of luck we're getting all the time. It's unbelievable. Hello? Yes, Andy? Oh, God, no, not really. Straight into the car park we're in. Oh, yeah, right into the middle. But no reaction. I mean, we didn't react, they didn't react. We just sat our ground. What they've thought when they've come into that car park, I don't know. I mean, we felt absolute horror that we'd actually let ourselves get into a position that they could come to. But I actually have to put my shots close enough to be able to deploy them, but far enough away from the surveillance thing. And before we went to that car park, I went to every single unit and discussed with them where we should go to. And we all agreed that that was the best place to put the shots. Whether we've blown it, I don't know at this present moment. You just don't know what's going through their minds. I mean, there's horror going through my mind, but at the present moment, you've just got to stick with it. We've got to go out there and make